Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act is spurring energy-related production across the country right now and is doing a lot for the conversion to renewable energy. I want to look at this one study that was put out by this company called Heat Map. And they looked at how these different tax incentives and tax credits are getting utilized across the country. Which ones are most popular, where are they getting used, and then who's using them. And so the way the IRA works, the Inflation Reduction Act works, is it gives money to consumers in order to buy green energy products. That's one of the big parts of it. So like if you want to get a heat pump, you can get money from the government to get a heat pump. If you want to buy an electric vehicle, you can get money from the government to buy an electric vehicle. All of those different things. So when we look at the number of clean energy tax credits that were claimed in 2023 by appliance type, solar and electric is getting claimed over 720,000 times across the country. Solar water heating is in second with a huge drop off at like 150,000. But the main takeaway is solar energy is really getting a huge investment from these tax credits. This is coming from not just personal use, but also industrial use. All of these different pieces of the puzzle are using the Inflation Reduction Act to move the economy into a solar mindset. And it's interesting is because the way that the tax credits are getting used differentiates by region. If you look at the southwest of the country and in Florida, they're soaking up solar money.
Yeah.
They're soaking it up. In Nevada, Florida, Texas, almost 2% of all tax filers are claiming the tax credit.
Wow.
Which is a ton of people.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see that the policy is being so effective so fast. Obviously, you want the rollout to be faster all the time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because solar is conquering the southwest of the United States. But that's not how it's working across the country. In the Northeast, they're explicitly filing for energy efficiency stuff. So like if you want to retrofit your home to be better at keeping the heat inside during the winter, right? You get massive tax credits for that. And those are very popular in Maine, in Vermont, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Massachusetts. Almost 3% of all filers are doing that in Massachusetts.
Cool.
So it's a really cool way. I like the idea that the IRA was like a throw everything at the wall and see what sticks approach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It was like, okay, here's every possible idea we have to fight climate change. States, go try which ones you want.
Yeah, I like that too because it subsidizes the supply side and the demand side.
Yes, it does both at the same time,
yeah.
Which is great. One of the issues that I have with the Inflation Reduction Act, and I think you have one issue too that we should touch on, is who is actually benefiting from the money that the IRA is giving out. And what we found was the people who make over $100,000 are 4 times more likely to claim an IRA tax credit.
Okay.
Especially the energy efficiency tax credit, someone is 4 times more likely if you make over $100,000 to claim that tax credit. If you're doing like a clean energy tax credit, you're twice as likely. If you're wealthy.
Do you dislike this enough to want to make it means tested?
No.
Okay.
No, because I think the goal of this legislation is not an equality legislation. This is not the area in which to solve economic inequality. That's for the unrealized capital gains tax. That's for a higher tax rate on the rich.
Sure.
It's not for environmental policy.
Yeah, I mean, it also makes all the sense in the world because these are credits that are obviously going to be claimed by homeowners.
Oh, of course.
Right, and that's the biggest differentiator wealth-wise that you can have.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
This is going to be claimed by homeowners. Yeah. Homeowners are most likely going to have higher incomes anyway.
Totally.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
My only problem with it is a recent Financial Times report that came out and said that 40% of projects that have received IRA funding have been either delayed or canceled. Now, after hearing that, initially I was like, of course, this isn't working. But as I thought about it more, I was like, okay, well, think about a construction company. If they, say residential or commercial real estate construction, if they said that only 40% of their project had been delayed, that would be like bangers. Like that would be awesome.
That's true.
Right? So the flip side of the positive of 60% of them being on time and having gone through, that's pretty good. The 40%, the good news is the projects that have been canceled, the money for those can be clawed back by the government.
Oh.
The policy, yeah, we talked about this one of the first times that we talked about the IRA. It's one of the most important enforcement mechanisms that they have for the policy. The problem is, in what the Financial Times reported, is like either they miscalculated the demand, they projected it incorrectly.
Of course.
The interest rates have stayed too high for too long, so it makes more sense to delay these projects than it does to move forward on them right now. The financials, even with the government support, just sometimes don't work out. So I don't know if that data point is prescriptive for anything. I don't know if I would take that and say we should change policy to be this way or this way. Anytime the government's going to offer companies money, it's not going to fix their profit seeking. They're not going to go out and do anything they can at their own loss.
Right. No, they're not gonna. And also, it is important, even though the stuff is delayed and stuff is canceled, which is not good. 2025 will still see like a doubling of green energy and renewable projects related to wind, battery, solar, and all that stuff. It's still going to be double what it was pre-IRA.
Yes.
So that's still great. It's just all with the delay stuff. A lot of it also has to do with zoning and permitting. All of that is still massive bottlenecks. You think you're going to be able to get the permit from this time, and then you can't, so you got to build later. I mean, that's a huge problem. Overall, though, the IRA is having a lot of effects very quickly, and it's going to continue to have these effects over the next decade. It's going to be a really interesting legacy Joe Biden's going to have, because his economic policy didn't affect today. It's going to affect tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shame if people don't realize that then, but it's interesting to see nonetheless.
Yeah, it's exciting. So, we have a Patreon. And since you made it to the end of the episode, that means that maybe you are somewhat interested in the content we make, which, let me say, that's awesome.
That's so cool that you think that we have good takes enough for you to watch our stuff. That means a lot.
Thank you so much. You're probably wrong, but we'll take it. If you want to support the show, and we post exclusive content on there, so if you want to see more of that, see us go deeper onto a few other topics, maybe some of the stuff we post on there is stuff that we think the normies on YouTube might be a little bit less interested in, but the nerds that want to go to Patreon are more interested in. Feel free to check it out. There's going to be a link in the video description. There's a link in the channel description as well.
Perfect.
We would super appreciate it.
Love you guys.